Well, welcome back to The Bolt. I'm Ryan Brown, and I am here with Minnesota Laser Restoration, Ryan Hartwig.
Yep.
And what a background you have, sir.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And that's one of the things that has brought me into this industry. Highly technical manufacturing is what I've spent the last 15 years of my life doing.
Quite a varied, interesting experience, which I focus in on immediately. I can hear that.
Yep.
You know, that what value that has in the industry that you're venturing into. But tell us a little about your background there.
Okay. So, I have formally educated in business and also manufacturing, machine tool technology. But I've been able to spend a lot of time on CNC operations, tube laser, sheet laser operations, technical support, facilities maintenance, and even worked in through estimating in advanced automotive, plastic injection molding, also into medical device, where I've done everything from R&D work to contract manufacturing to OEM applications. And I've seen in the 15 years that I've been in manufacturing, I've seen where this technology would have been beneficial. And I'm really excited to be taking this step here and moving into this, because it touches all of those angles of manufacturing, from automotive to aerospace, from the blacksmith shop all the way up to the place where you could, eat food off the floor because it's, so clean.
I think that skill set in lasers is one of the most, skill set and experience is one of the most important things you can have in understanding how to apply lasers in plants and in varied environments. That's the 80%. The laser is a portion of it, very useful portion of it, but it's that kind of insight. And while you're in those plants and you are doing greenfield and the financial aspect of what a plant's got to do per square foot, and understanding a process or looking at a process and being able to understand that process at X amount of dollars per minute of things running through it, what happens, and also how to all of a sudden you're out in injection molding. Well, then you know what that is, and you know how those people, what their challenges are in a plant, how to do work in a plant, having vendors come and going. And like you in that side, I'm down in the pits, for years and years. I'm in the plant shutdowns, or in the top of my operations manager, Darren Green, was chief engineer in the big high-rise buildings, right? So then we're shutting that building down, or we're in different environments. But growing up, being in industrial, in aerospace, in manufacturing, pharmaceutical, it rubs off, but you never know exactly where that knowledge is gonna come back to play. You don't even remember you have it until somebody asks you an obscure question. And you reach down in there and go, oh yeah, it's this. So what made you kind of decide to pivot into lasers?
I mean, it's something that I've seen around in the industry being utilized and growing. And definitely have saw the need. Even I knew of the need before I knew of lasers. And so as soon as I started doing some research, even deeper dives into what lasers are doing, previous experience running fiber lasers, cutting tubes and sheet and stuff, but then knowing what advancements have happened and what's happening out there in the world, and just being able to support and solve the problems that I had seen in previous lives, at previous times. it became a rather no-brainer. And I have a pretty structured rubric of, checking the box and making sure, okay, does that pass the smell test? Does this pass the smell test? And lasers are the real deal, and they're going to only grow and only be more. And we're seeing what's happening in different countries, and actually USA is a little bit of a late adopter into some of the areas of laser ablation, laser cleaning, and that kind of stuff, where some of our foreign, the foreign countries, Europe, Australia, China, and stuff like that have kind of picked it up, which is quite interesting, because it is a technical area, but the United States kind of focuses and prides themselves on that. But in the manufacturing world, in the US based manufacturing, we're usually quicker to adopt some of those things into our, as far as when I'm looking at regulatory environments, we have a more relaxed regulatory environment than some of the other countries out there.
It's funny that you say that, and still it's stringent, but for example, in a plant, let's take injection molds, and you're talking about what you're seeing there are analogs of the printing companies and the big, all of these sites. Just to be able to walk into those sites, the way we've seen it is the mature companies that are in there that have the knowledge of those systems. Well, they have the safety plans. They're in the sites. Those folks, you're submitting those plans. They're looking at containment or confined space, joint occupants or ongoing operations within the plant you're working on, and the mindset, not only that, about the regular safety in and around the machines, flammability issues, and we're talking about the oils that get kind of coated around, like I think about it when you're talking about like a big old waffle machines. You walk through these plants and they're just caked with stuff, but the right lasers, the process, the setup. And I think there's two tiers in the United States right now about lasers sold as a tool, lasers that, but also the process in which they're using and the safety constraints and the proper setup to be able to work into a plant, and not having worked in a plant like that to know what that requires, even financially, right? And so your insight was you had a lot of the right questions early. We were talking mostly, it wasn't even about the lasers, was it? It was about safety. It's about that they're regulated equipment in the United States, about how to, and it's about using that equipment and integrating it into your services in the field effectively. There was quite a bit of discussion about that being a little different than kind of what you...
I mean, risk mitigation in manufacturing is what ISO is built off of. It's what all those different governing bodies are. And, it's one of the key aspects. It's a very awesome, wow factor type of technology, and you're doing it, but it also, you have to give it a level of, respect for the safety that it's required. And you've walked around them, and I've walked around them, the different manufacturing facilities. We've all worked with EH&S employees, and every factory we go into has an EH&S system in place. And really, I've been able to interact with a lot of those, and that's where, average person might just think this is the next thing, I can plug it in, easily use it, and miss a lot of the key things that make a good laser system, a good laser operator, and a good laser company valuable. And that's where having the trusted advisors, the laser safety officers, having the ecosystem surrounding it,
for sure,
to be able to implement it safely in those environments, not counteracting or contradicting the existing EH&S, and actually supporting it and maybe even benefiting it.
I saw that as well, and we were also thinking about that with customers. Now you're going to be working directly with our team, and we're doing projects together, and it goes beyond. Yes, we have the lasers, but they have to do what when they hit the site? They have to be running in a compliant. It could be as simple as a laser curtain, area separation, or it could be a laser process environment with fume extraction interlocks, maybe robotic process going through, and so if I don't think about ourselves as a warehouse or I think understanding the equipment but it's its application at the end point.
100%.
And those are going to be exciting jobs. I know we're going to talk about a few just after this meeting, some pretty interesting. I think there's no shortage of meeting fascinating people doing fascinating things in these plants. It's just, it's great. But being able to team up, and you're up out of Minnesota.
And the Minneapolis-St. Paul area.
You got the kind of the core of the country. We have folks over in Baltimore, Maryland. We've got some a guy out of the marine side we will meet who's doing phenomenal things up there, and integrating that with a coating system we were talking about, a flame spray type system using propane, rapid cure, like immediate cure, and so they're all doing these very interesting things. You're out. You got a pretty solid field setup. I mean, you've got the components. So are you going to focus mostly in plants for a while? I know you're getting set up for a kind of a base location. You will be out doing services. Is there a core sector? Are you going to stick just in manufacturing? You think you'll be out on the...
Really, I mean, that's all good questions. This industry is so broad and it touches so many areas that it would be very easily to dilute. And with my expertise in the aerospace, automotive, med device sectors, along with how the manufacturing that Minnesota has, that's really where I will be focusing on. Is the manufacturing, the integration, the design build, and really helping them create that envelope that they can safely do, helping manufacturing companies create an envelope for where they can safely do these projects to get time efficiencies and labor efficiencies, operator efficiencies that they don't currently have, and really benefit their process and put it directly in line or in-house to be able to get quicker turnaround on parts, to lower overhead on parts. Because we're not shipping it out, they're not shipping it out. And that's just the time factor. That's not even taking into consideration the environmental aspects of not having abrasives or other stuff like that. Just it not being an abrasive type process that's removing material where you're, when doing it right, that you're only removing the discoloration or the biofilm or the whatever you want to remove from the substrate.
I think when in our first discussion, you had what struck me is after kind of a run-in with your background, I felt immediately comfortable saying, this is a person I could have right by my side in these plants and kind of understand what we're looking at and how to protect outcomes for the client and our own workers. And the other part of it is that you are in the core of America is reinvesting in our manufacturing and industrial base as well as our workforce. And as you know, I'm heavily active nationally in workforce development. And we are also testing lasers. So you look at it like this mountain. You're helping these plants. They're going to be coming through. They're refurbishing. They're upgrading process. I'm seeing robotics go in everywhere, but also technicians, tradespeople working with the robots. They will be working with them in integrating them into, like you said, hazardous work is going to be done by robots, but the personnel and the upcoming trades and people that are in the workforce already will have to understand their operation and use. Yep. Right. So you're kind of like in ground. You're in a ground central area there, but we're actually. It's a misnomer that lasers are a tool. I never call them tools. They are a process, just like a machine is a process. And knowing how to take it apart, knowing how to care for it, but knowing how to operate it properly in the field. And we're just looking at all these different substrates, and what looks like something that might look perfect to the eye could be damaged due to heat, or, for example, we were looking, not to take you into the rabbit holes, but we were looking at texturing lasers, and you're seeing a lot of the, okay, but to what standard?
Yep.
To what? Yep. Sure, we can the coatings company likes, they say it looks okay, but it's AMP and standard best practices and understanding, getting some validation. And know we were having the discussion. You can't go out and sell a laser to somebody and say, well, yeah, it'll texture and likely it works. We all look at it, but it's doing it with heat. And then you're going, it could have a different appearance. If the coating inspector shows up, that job's going to be inspected to AMP like their NACE inspect. Well, that's not an SSP, SP. It looks a little different. What can, and we talked about overheating causing the micro melting or the flash changing density, causing a corrosion or ionic exchange there with oxidation that forms blah, 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 blah. But we're deep in the studies, and I know that you appreciate that kind of stuff and looking at it and going, but people are standing back going, yeah, but we're getting good adhesion. It works, and what you're finding experientially we need to catch up on the lab testing.
Yep.
So a little bit.
And I'm glad that you said lab testing. Lasers are a piece of scientific equipment. They always started out as a piece of scientific equipment, and they've expanded from there to find industrial and manufacturing and other personal uses. Yeah. But they still need to be treated as that scientific level of equipment. They have tolerance. They're designed to specifically do certain things, either the patterns, the amps, all the different frequencies and stuff like that you can adjust with it, and it's not just a hammer. It's a scientific piece of equipment. Yeah. It takes a little bit of effort. I compare it to like a CNC machine where you actually have to program, and then you have to test it, and then you identify, is this getting me the end result that I want from the part or from whatever I'm creating? Yeah. Everywhere from, is the part conforming to shape and size, or is the surface finish the right thing? And there's things that you can get into it. And I'm actually really excited to start looking at this at a molecular level and a microscopic level to truly, start to push the boundaries of how we create those polished surfaces better, more efficiently. How do we create those replicable profiles and surfaces to meet
repeatable standard results. Yep. And that's when you're putting it in somebody's hands, you're starting to see that it's like it's just like the art of sandblast, the finesse of welding, the finesse of and there's some phenomenal guys out there that really know those lasers. There's guys, they're from all parts, and they're all getting there, but maintaining that uniformity. That's one of the reasons why the folks that are out there doing phenomenal things in robotics right now to maintain the consistency, and a lot of it goes just fine, but it's those unique jobs that have a lot of I guess I'm excited about them because it has a lot of room for innovation. Yep. And there's so many people innovating out there right now. Yes. I just love to. I'm just like, that's cool. Go do it. Yeah. And sometimes they work out. Sometimes it's not quite there, but there's a wealth of information that are resources that are growing every day.
And as I've been studying this and learning about it, I have interviewed, 5 or 6 different manufacturers in the US that are either importing or building to some level their own lasers. And one of the things that really impacted me in our conversations is your foresight into this industry and where you see it going, the way that you see it developing, the way you're interacting at even a governmental level and lobbying and talking to those levels. And that was what really spoke to me, was all the other providers were selling a piece of equipment. You are selling an envelope around a process, and you can sell a piece of equipment, but in that piece of equipment, you're also delivering safety, instructions and just certain levels of those things that truly help it and take it from I'm an operator to I'm a subject matter expert. And that's where I saw your subject matter expert in the laser industry, where you were envisioning this, where you've envisioned system lasers themselves to be positioned, is different than the other companies that I've interacted with in the United States that are providing similar or like equipment.
That's interesting. Yeah, I feel like we weren't even talking about lasers at the start. I remember you calling me. We were coming back from a job out of Oregon, and we were talking about the FDA. We were talking about the business of the lasers. And when you were telling me what you want to do, I can tell you I've been there. I have self-funded this. We were running operations, moved the company, put the next phase of my life in this. So it's understanding what happens after you buy that laser, and how we can help you do that safely, and to do that efficiently, and to have growth. Because the next thing is, where do I get the jobs? What do I do? How do I make this thing work or get access to the bigger jobs? And I feel that intently. I've been there. I used to sit in this room. We moved a bunch of equipment down and we were getting going. And I would sit in this room until very late nights. And I did it because it was quiet. And we have a good office here. And I go, well, but it gets depressed. You're rowing. And that's part of why we have our Viking ship on our because get in the boat, guys. Get on the oars, right? But it's lonely if you're out there and there's no wind in the sun. You're putting things together, deciding to manufacture. You're putting these things and trying to keep your projects running downtown and keep the wheels on everybody and make that transition. There were definitely easier ways to do it.
It's not a cruise ship, it's a rowboat.
But I will say I feel it. And it's like we're two guys, they go and I'm like, okay, brother, it's not this kind of shaking. It's this kind of It's like, brother, let's go.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
A good
and take care of each other in the network. And you're running the core down the middle of the country. We're talking about jobs over here, and we're talking immediately about innovation. And immediately about improvement, and immediately about the need for accredited kind of, training in the United States, and how part of that's hands-on and where that takes us in this boat ride to get through the surf, get out onto the open water, so to speak. That's kind of, I'm not an MBA. I got to think in those terms, to get of what I want to do or how. But I think that your approach, and gosh, I'd love to even hearing about the SolidWorks and the estimating and the starts and stops of the varied environments that you've been in. And I'm so excited for your future and excited for this future in the industry. I haven't showed you the other laser equipment and stuff in here, but I know that we'll be collaborating, supporting each other on jobs out there. And I think that's the other half of it. Think about it this way as well. Think about it like you invest in these lasers, and those are the questions you're looking. We did the same thing, and they're great guys. I mean, good, the lanes and you go, look, these are knowledgeable people, but it's being driven tribally from the industry, from the field and out there, and it's flowing back up, and then kind of best practices gets developed, groups start coming together to kind of going, and that's going to help a lot of folks. But the next thing is, they get the laser. We didn't talk about the lasers at all at the first thing. We know what we were talking about? I was showing you get fume extraction with carbon filtration right off your gun in sufficient quantities to remove those plumes. Second phase, right behind it, it's the proper respiratory protection, air washers for like you're in a room. You're talking about how you're controlling those environments in a plant to keep your PELs down under, you can't. And not knowing what's the laser generated air contaminants are doing. So we had these discussions and start, then when you can see it, put it together. What's the difference between a 2 millijoule laser and a 15 or a top hat Gaussian and changing settings, substrates. So
I mean, like any different industry, as we've been, as it advances and grows, it gets more sophisticated. So, back when machining or any of welding and all that came in, you'd walk into those facilities, you'd see the blue haze in the room, you'd smell the cutting oil from the CNC. Yeah. And eventually they got all the different extraction, they got all the different proper, health and safety stuff involved to make sure that it wasn't a blacksmith shop that's full of fumes. And that's probably one of the things that is benefiting us, is that we're coming into sophisticated systems. We're bringing this and being able to apply this in already sophisticated systems because of the forethought and the background understanding that we have about those systems, and being able to apply it in a meaningful way from the beginning, instead of all the trial and error that has, that a lot of people have already done.
Yeah, don't after the fact damage all the brick on the building, and like what you can do beforehand, and the test as well is important. I think we're definitely in that sector, and it's good to have another set of hands out there that could be tested for, because it doesn't stop. It's a good something.
And you have a great team here, and we've spent the day chatting about it, and we've spent the last few hours back in the test room. And as I run more and test more and see more surfaces, it's not, the magic of it hasn't gone away. It's only more magical from what's actually happening. And it's only going to be, this is the first steps into this industry, and where this industry goes in 10 years are going to be built on the backs of people like you and people in this company, hopefully myself and other laser experts out there. And what we know of it today is so infantile to where it's going to go, to the substrates it's going to clean, to the solutions it's going to bring to otherwise costly or maybe even impossible tasks today. It's going to revolutionize, in my opinion, a lot of what manufacturing can do. It might even, send some different modes of manufacturing, set them back a bit, kind of like the buggy whip. If I could just save
one sandblaster from shoveling a lot of sand, I'd be happy with that. We've been involved in a lot of sand shoveling out there with subs and those guys and being
environmentally, and that environmental friendly aspect is the part that we haven't even really touched on, but it is so important to leave it better than when we found it. That's, like you're walking a trail, leave it better than you found it. Pick something up. And I think that's what lasers can do. And I definitely think that's what this team that you're building and that you've built here has the idea and the mindset to do, to actually be able to not just operate, but to create systems, create processes, and advance this trade, this new up and coming, trade that will be built over the next 5, 10, 15 years.
I think so. And I think you're going to be a wonderful mentor. Like I said, all the things around, not just in the lasers, but all the things around the lasers. And if you're going to put, and show, you'll be showing lasers. You're not out here running. We have colleagues in the industry, and we are here to help them. You be showing, demonstrating lasers, helping other people with lasers. If clients want a laser in their fab shop, well, they got to put it somewhere. It's got to, to help them operate it safely and get started successfully. The financial aspect of it is that lasers aren't, when you look at everything around it, as you know, it's not cheap, but then you're going to find the next bigger job. What's the constraint? See, I know that, and a lot of others, they know what's going to befall the operators to go to help get through those challenges. It's like, well, this is a bigger job, but to maintain production, we're going to need 4 systems, or they're going to have to scale, and therefore understanding the financials, how to bid a job, what exclusions would you have in for a particular job, something, how would you...
Contingencies, all sorts of stuff that you're putting in.
Jobs is one thing. Scaling efficiently. How can we help clients scale up for jobs, and they're also busy. They're putting it in their employees' hands. Well, employees can forget to tie things down. They could set their cokes on top of the units and tip them over or drop the head from these things. So the training, and they're also often busy. So do you do that? Do they all come here? Do we go to the field and help with their team? Everybody's still on the payroll, or where you're integrating in and these ideas that help people efficiently scale and let the revenues scale their laser operations, not just dump in and pray, or get it going.
And that's a great example of the reason why our conversation, the first conversation in my eyes, was as beneficial to me, and set you guys aside from the rest of the pack in the laser manufacturers that I had talked about. It is that vision. It is that foresight to see where it's going to go, what it's going to do. And you're right. The first hour and a half that we were on the phone, we minimally discussed. You knew I wanted to talk about lasers, and then we got into the technical aspect, the ANSI, the OSHA, all the stuff that is going to really the meat in the heart of what a laser system and process and whole envelope what looks like when you're utilizing this or deploying this in a manufacturing environment, out in a as a contract or as a contract job where you're out at a site, or if you're operating inside your own facility. And that speaks volumes to your understanding of the lasers and just knowing how it's going to apply, and based on your previous experiences and in all of your other endeavors.
Somehow you got to cash in on that strange knowledge that you never thought it would come to play. And I see a lot of, but here it is right in front of you. And I'm glad to have you with us, and we're going to get busy right away. And this is going to be really a fantastic journey. I think you're going to
look forward to it. And I look forward to it. And I look forward to picking up that ore and helping us move that ship forward.
Let's go.
Let's go.
You got one guy missing, what happens?
That's you go in circles.
Right.
You go in circles.
Back at the shore you started from. So I get it. But that's okay. That's all right. We get it. We just
and just by looking at other podcasts that you've done and the different professionals from varied industries that you've talked to about it, just shows the breadth of who this touches, where this goes, and where it's going to go. You've just barely touched the tip of the iceberg already, but you've done a good job.
It sure doesn't feel like work. I can say nowadays I do get tired some on occasion, but it doesn't feel like work. And up to then on some of those jobs, it's not. I think to start something, it's hard enough. But you're starting something, starting your journey. It can sometimes knock you on your butt for a minute or two, but you get right back up, get in your truck, cry on the side of the road, get back in your truck and come into work the next day and keep it going. So it's going to be great, and I hope it doesn't feel like work for you either. So
it's It's exciting, it's magical, and like you've said, different characters every day, different problems, different teaching. And that's really what we want to do, and what I pride myself on my previous manufacturing journey of being the subject matter expert in teaching and being able to bring up the next operators, the next estimators, the next project managers. And I look forward to taking that same step with deploying the system lasers that I'm purchasing and working with you guys to help establish that regional framework where I'm sitting in the middle and you guys have the coast covered, and really working together to best implement your vision, and also the vision that all the other really skilled people inside of System Lasers brings. From Aaron to everybody, Amy to Darren to everybody like that. It's really good.
Well, Ryan, I think you're going to be a leader in this industry if we keep working hard enough, long enough.
Well, no, wait.
Brother.
We got it.
There we go. Yeah.
No, I look forward to
right.
it. Thank you very much, sir.
Good stuff. So thank you. Appreciate it.